Hey, what's shaking? This is Pastor Kevin PK from Lighthouse Community Church. Hope you guys are doing well this morning. I'm a little bit tired. Had not the morning I wanted, I guess I would say. My alarm went off. Adrian's alarm went off. Went back to sleep. Had a dream even in that time period when I woke up, and I like having a routine in the morning to get up. Like a breakfast I make, and I like to be in the Word, have some quiet time to myself. Didn't happen this much this morning, but it's the way it goes sometimes. But I have some coffee with me. It is not church coffee; it's coffee I brought from home, and I like having beans to grind in the morning, so it helps me to have that. Just having to smell the fresh smell of the coffee. Wake up to it. So, topic for today is 2 Kings. Yay! We've been going through the Bible this year with our church on the YouVersion Bible app. Once a month, we invite people to a new plan with the hopes that they will re-up every month, or if they miss a month, can come back to try to read the Bible in a year. And so this month, we have been in 2 Kings. And I thought I would offer some insight or what I've taken away from this section of the Bible. Just to be honest with you, this section, maybe 2 Kings to 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, it's not one of my favorite parts of the Bible. It's difficult. I would guess that you found that it's difficult. There's a lot of names, names that we're not really used to. Names throughout the narratives that change often, and sometimes they kind of sound similar. Elijah, Elisha, and it's going back and forth between history of Israel and Judah very quickly, and it's history that we're not really too familiar with. If you're an American, maybe you have more American history, but this is Israel history. It's incredibly bloody, lots of killing, lots of murder, idolatry worship, and it's geography. If you don't know the land of where they're going, what they're doing, it can be really difficult. It's really helped me as I'm reading this to have like my phone or a tablet or computer open with a chart of the kings, kind of when they reigned, each name kind of going back and forth, where they were, Israel, Judah, were they good, were they bad? That really helps me. I think one reason why this is in the Bible for the people back then, it was historical record showing that this actually happened, and to be see this and don't do this type of thing. Here's an example: don't follow this king. But really, it has many names, and each name is important to God. I think that's what's really important about this section has a lot of names. God knows every single person's name. He knows your name. It does have some really fun stories. Like, I love the stories of Elijah and Elisha. There's just some really different ones. Like, the one that I really, really like is 2 Kings 6:17, where all of a sudden Elisha is surrounded by an army. His servant is scared, and Elisha prays and says, "Oh Lord, please open the eyes that he may see." So the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. It's this sense that there is a whole spiritual world that we cannot see. That's like my theme in my life lately, just this other spiritual world dimension. There's chariots, there's horses of fire, and They are all around, surrounding them, bigger than the army that is against them. You have this weird story too in chapter 2 of when Elisha takes the mantle from Elijah. These 42 or so boys come and make fun of him, call him Baldy, and then these bears come down and maul them to death. Or even chapter 13, when there's this man that gets thrown onto the bones of Elisha once Elisha has died, and he comes back to life. Just these miraculous things that happen around these two prophets. I think it's all kind of paving the way for what Jesus would do, this miraculous man that could do the amazing, the bringing people back from the dead, healing people, all kinds of things. One of the main things you see throughout this whole story too is worship of other idols. This seems to be like every time a new king is introduced, they're either good or bad in God's eyes by what they do with these other nations and idols. So they worship Baal, Ashtaroth, all these things, and many of them, most of them in Israel, either worshipped these other idols, or they kept them up and didn't destroy them, or they would destroy some and keep the rest up. These were other gods, other demonic, powerful entities that were not God himself. It mentions a couple times too in chapter 3, chapter 16 of child sacrifice to these gods. I mean, this terrible one in chapter 16 of Ahaz, king of Judah, that he even burned his son as an offering according to the despicable practices of the nations whom the Lord drove out before the people of Israel. So God was trying to help them, get them to not do these things before the kings came on the scene, but they're bringing back these terrible practices. As I said, I think that there are true demonic beings, things behind these idols, and they're probably giving some power, something back to these kings. There's always a transaction some way, I think. They're believing false things. They're believing that this other God is the true God, or there are many gods to be worshipped. Ultimately, they're not having a relationship with God himself. So just some application for, us today. I think you see in this stories, as the leader goes, so goes the people. If the leader is the one that is encouraging child sacrifices, worship of other idols, Baal practice, whatever it is, it's going to encourage the rest of the nation and their kids to go on and do that. So often there's this back and forth of, did the son follow his dad and what he did? Yes, he did. Or no, he swung the other way. But it's a good thing for us to think about as a leader, whether in your home, your workplace, your neighborhood, your church. As your character, as your practices go, it will influence other people for good or for bad. Now, I want to be careful with this because this is political, and in our political commentary, a lot of this idea of a Christian nation or Christian nationalism. I don't believe in that we should be a Christian nation or a Christian church in that sense. I have some questions too about, was our founding fathers really Christian or more deist, believed in something but not in Jesus? But the sense that we are blessed because we are Americans, I just don't know. And the idea that we should at all costs fight for our nation because we are the best. Ultimately, we belong to the citizenship of Jesus. And we should be careful to read into the text or read into our own life that we should have a king like they did back then. This is a different time period. This is, we're in a different era now as Christians. But I think it does speak a lot to the leaders we pick, even in politics, their character, their past, what they've done, all kinds of things like that. And there's also, I think, the message for us of idolatry. There is a danger to it for us. Now, you may not think, I don't have Baal or Asherah, things like that to worship in my own life, but there are a lot of occultic practices still in our world today. You see it in celebrities, music videos, they're using some sort of like demonic language or practicing in their symbolism or dance or all kinds of things like that, just that are out there. That's weird. You drive around, there's tarot card readers. You see a lot of like encouraging of the occult witchcraft type things. And so I would just be careful of those things in your own life, whether it's in music or media or statues or incorporating things like karma or stuff like that into your own life. Now, I also think that we need to get rid of idols in general in our own life. That seems to be the biggest problem they had in 2 Kings, is they did not rid the entire nation of idols, and they became a snare to them, just like Solomon before that. The other nations and women and idols became a snare unto his own heart. And God, it says he hates those things, those practices of idolatry. And so we need to be aware of in our own life, how are we worshiping other things besides God? This could be, worship is the time and attention we give something, the money we spend toward it, the effort we give toward it. So it could be on our phone, seeing how much screen time you have on your phone, how much we worship celebrities and things like that in the media or sports or our kids, and trying to ruthlessly eliminate idolatry in our own life so that we can have pure worship to God. That's what I got out of 2 Kings. I hope it's help to you as you read this book and struggle with it and try to understand it. Love you guys. See you again soon.